And welcome back to our community. Susie Thomas visiting with Paula Mastriani. She is with Women's Impact, Inc. And may I just say, wearing maybe the coolest pair of glasses I have ever seen.
Well, thank you. This is a designer that names all of her designs after artists, and this would be Van Dyke.
Oh, they're just so cool. I'm loving looking at them.
Thank you.
And I assume they do have glass. You're not just wearing the fashion statement. You actually really do help your eyesight.
I'm old.
Okay. Well, you didn't have. Yeah, I didn't mean to pull all that amount of information out of you.
I'm good with it.
Paula, tell me about Women's Impact, Inc. You are...
So I'm the president this year.
Good.
Yes, and a founding member as well. And this started about 6 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. Several people, women community leaders got together and said, we need a place, we need a safe place, we need a place that empowers each of us and that we can work together to be better. We had the tenets of things like, women can be pretty brutal to each other, very catty,
absolutely,
and not supportive. And so that's one of the pieces that we really started with, is that to be kind to each other, and it became one of our big tenets.
Were women willing to sit down and recognize that, identify that, point their finger on it, call themselves out on that? Because women are tough on women.
They are, and they've been, that more than call themselves out, they talk about being the victims of it, that other women have been, difficult to them in their career and not forthcoming.
Any idea why?
There's all kinds of psychology around that, but really it has to do, if you read the psychology, this isn't Paula speaking, it has to do with women being secondary citizens from long ago and not feeling you're good enough. So in order to be better, one way that people in general compensate for that is to put other people down. And so women do that oftentimes, and that's why there's that quote-unquote cattiness and that struggle that goes on between women who are fearful. It really is based in fear. The other thing that you'll notice women doing is women say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't get the plate on the table correctly. Oh, I'm sorry that I was 2 minutes late to this meeting. I'm sorry. You end up saying you're sorry for things that you shouldn't really have any reason to be sorry about. So those are kind of some of the things that we espouse in each other, that we try to do education around, as simple as not always saying you're sorry and feeling confident. The first time we had a workshop that was, I think we're in our 5th year now, I believe, in holding this workshop, we brought in a couple of big-name speakers. And there were so many epiphanies in that room. There were a lot of strong women that are community leaders. There were a couple in tears because they really felt like it was a place where they could let go and talk about their fears, even today, even being in business for 30 years, how they can let other people know how they're feeling, and that they felt that they were alone in feeling these feelings, even now, late into your career. I know that I felt in my early career, I'd say yes to things and then go home and just have serious anxiety around, why did I say yes and how am I going to get this done? And you just mount the effort and you do it. But that doesn't mean that you don't suffer and struggle. This is really an organization that helps women realize their potential and their impact through being kind to each other and learning from each other, being able to call each other, and then we educate each other, and we recognize and we celebrate.
A rising ship lifts all boats.
Absolutely. If that wasn't taken already, I'd probably use that as our tagline. But, I have to quickly say, there are some people that originally, when they didn't know what we were, because, again, we're not part of a big organization or anything, we're just on our own trying to make a change in our community and in our business world. They said, oh, well, you're a man bashing. That's not it at all. That really doesn't come into it ever. In fact, one of the big events, signature events that we have is we have the Impact Awards every year. And last year we had our first male winner.
Nice.
Because he's somebody who promotes women in his workplace. He has programs to mentor them so that he makes sure he has equity in his workplace.
Well, let's give a shout out to him. Who was it?
Yeah, absolutely. He was the leader of Megget, Aerocraft something in Akron.
Nice.
I'm not familiar with the company other than to know their name, but and it was actually foreign, so he has this really wild name that I can't pronounce. But if you go onto our website, you can find that again. But he was so gracious. I mean, he's up there with all the another 7 women, and he's having the best time. And I think he was a little floored when he got up there and he saw what it was, and they'd supported it financially, supported us for years. But when he actually saw it in practice, I think he was pretty proud, and he was very proud to win that award. So, males can certainly come to this workshop. This is not female driven. It's really about leadership and coaching and how you ask questions of yourself.
Yeah. It's interesting that I know for sure there are some women who steer clear of women's organizations because they can't stand being in a room full of women. Mm-hmm. And this seems to have addressed a lot of those issues. It is one of the things you mentioned, saying yes to a lot of things. Is that a third issue that a lot of women do, say yes to everything, and we just don't know how to pronounce no?
Yes, and they spread themselves too thin. Mm-hmm. And I am one of those people
I'm in
that
club.
do that all the time.
Yeah.
But I do like to stay busy. Getting back to your thing about women that don't do women's things, mm-hmm. I knew that we were onto something because we were a fledgling organization and we'd pulled several people in. But there's a woman that maybe some of your listeners know. Her name's Carrie Grow, and she was the most senior woman at the Timken Company. She's recently retired and having a wonderful time at that. But when we told her about the concept, she is somebody who didn't do women's stuff. And when we told her about the concept, she was all in. And in fact, she was the past president. I succeeded her. And she's been a rock in building our organization along with Kay Fiegels. There were about 14 people that were really the beginning of our organization and put their power and their money to it. When we first started, we asked a series of women to lay down $1,000 to get us started and up and running financially. And, you didn't get $1,000 worth of value, but it was, please help us bet on the come to build something.
And quite an investment in others, though.
And they did. And we're taking on an average now of 3 members per week. It is exploding.
My.
It is exploding.
You have put your finger on the pulse of something. You've gotten something.
So we'll send you the membership material here after this meeting, Susie, because you have to be part of it.
Well, that's very kind of you. Here's a question, though. Not everyone really wants to be or is cut out to be a leader. There've got to be some followers, or everyone's just out taking a walk. Mm-hmm. Would there be some advantages to everybody learning these tools, getting these tools, even if you don't want to lead anything?
Well, Vi talked about teams, and you were talking about teams. Your team can be your faith community. It can be your family. It can be your girls that you run with. It can be your own business. You might be a business owner of one, but you do work with teams, your suppliers, your clients, blah, blah, blah. So, yes, I mean, anytime you're working in a team situation, it's good for really anybody who wants to come, male or female. So, I want to say we're probably this morning at about 90 reservations-ish. We have room. We'd like to get 150 in the room, and we're a long way to the event, so we think we're going to blow that out and more. But I would say that if you are interested, please come. Learn some things, meet some new friends. If you want to join the organization, great. It might not be for you, but we offer this to the community at large.
That's awesome. So, and again, let's remind everyone what this event we're talking about is. Who's going to be coming?
Dr. Marilee Adams. She is the author of Change Your Questions, Change Your Life. She is a business coach, a life coach, and she's on the New York Times bestseller list 3 times, and she's translated in 27 different languages. So
now what I find interesting about that is that we're not just talking about American culture.
Yes.
This is something that this question thinking methodology that she's got seems to be universal.
I think so, and I would bet if you looked at where she's translated, I'm sure that there are certain cultures that she would not be welcome in. However, she might be welcome to men in some cultures, but I know that she's very widely respected in Europe. She has an institute that is about thinking, asking question thinking. when you come, if you come to our workshop, you'll be getting a roadmap, her pathway to question answering. And so it's going to be really exciting. We're just thrilled to bring her in. It was a long shot, I'll be honest with you. We booked her before we had any money to bring her. And we just said, we need to bring this to Northeast Ohio, and we've been on the come.
Awesome. It's going to be September 12th over at the Conference Center at Kent State University at Stark. What time does this all get started, Paul?
It starts around 8 o'clock with continental breakfast. So we are going to be serving 2 meals and snacks. It'll end around 2:30, 3 o'clock. You can purchase your tickets, which I believe are $165.
Okay.
I got in on the early bird, so I'm not quite sure of that.
Good
but
for
you'll
you.
see on
Nice
that.
move.
But yeah, so
You find that at women'simpactinc.com.
Women's Impact Inc. One word, no punctuation.
Do you recommend people have read Change Your Questions, Change Your Life before they attend?
I think it would be helpful because they then understand the concepts, but it isn't necessary. I would hope that you would buy it then afterwards. We will have books for sale there, but I hope you would buy it afterwards or go to your library and download it free of charge. Of course, I work for the library, so I have to get that plug in.
And that's absolutely right, yes.
You could do that.
Busy, aren't you?
Just,
man,
gosh,
oh, man.
gotta
Well,
get that
to be able to pick up, I think we only heard about 1 or 2 of the steps. It's a 12-step program, so you want to get the rest of those steps.
Yes.
And why is how we ask questions so important? What does she say about that? How did she come up with this idea of, instead of me trying to pretend like I've got the answers, let me just see if I can ask a good question?
Well, I won't speak for her, but I think it's anchored in kind of that we are so attuned to the fight or flight kind of thing. And particularly in today's business model, we just feel like we go to war every day and battle our way through. And I'm not saying you have to be in leadership. I don't care if you work at a fast food restaurant or that. People are just not kind to everybody these days, and you just are in those kind of situations that make you tense up. This makes you step back and really question yourself, which releases, there's a neurological component to this, which releases neurons in your brain to say, wait, let's calm down, let's look at it in a different way, and how can we solve this problem in a different manner? So there's very much a physiology to this as well.
When we ask a question, we need to be prepared, though, to listen to an answer. And perhaps listening to one another might be just a good dose of medicine our country needs right now.
You think?
Your reaction to that comment?
You think? Yeah. And again, I keep going back to this concept of kindness. You know that you're going down a wrong path when you see, even in Little Canton and Massillon, Ohio, what's happening with this kindness movement, because it's so bad that we have to have actual movements to help get around this, get our heads circled around this. And I think what Massillon and Mayor Catazero Perry is doing, and Altman Hospital has jumped in, and other organizations, I think it's wonderful. But I think it's a sad state of affairs that we have to recognize that we've got an issue in that way.
Well, here's a great first step to take care of it and address it. Women's Impact Inc. Go to their website. Paula Mastriani, thank you so much for all you do in our community.
Oh, thank you, Susie, for having us, and appreciate it. Hope to see all of you there.